AskReddit. Teachers and faculty of Reddit, have you ever caught students in the act of masturbating or having sex? How did you handle it? My co-worker had a student who would frequently masturbate in class. The poor kid had been sexually abused and didn't know limits. The first time she noticed, he was wearing a big jacket that he used to cover his legs. The motion he was making was clearly masturbatorial. So, she caught in the student's male special education teacher and tried to keep the class distracted from the increasingly fervent scene. When the special ed teacher arrived, he knelt down quietly to ask the kid what he was doing. The student avoided the question, but stopped at least. However, he pulled his hand out from under his jacket and smeared cum on the special ed teacher. They took him out of class and now have special code words that require him to move his hands from his crotch. Not either exactly, but undoubtedly the most awkward day I've had teaching. It's the last day of the semester for me to teach. Students are giving final presentations. A minute into one student's presentation, while the room is very quiet, another student accidentally unmutes his computer, filling the quiet space with the loud, raunchy porn he was watching in class. Everyone in the class froze for a moment, including me. I kept looking at the presenter and couldn't dare to look over at that sound. Seconds later I do, and a student in the back row, seated in a sort of nook where he was obscure from view, has the biggest oh shit look on his face. The class erupted into laughter for a straight 3 minutes, while I urged the presenter to keep going. Thank God it was the last day of teaching this semester. There was a kid who was caught masturbating in the nurse's office at my middle school. He got so much shit from people he decided to switch schools. Next year I ended up moving to the same school as him. He was mortified when he saw me show up and thought I would tell everyone at the new school. I told him that I didn't care about what happened at the last school and that he was fine and that I wouldn't tell anyone. Our high school head teacher walked into the toilets during lesson time and caught a guy jacking off. The head teacher escorted the student to the lesson he was bunking from and announced what happened to the class. That head teacher is a complete fucking asshole. Just saying. We had 2 students boning in a ditch by the soccer field by some classrooms. 15 minutes before school started, the assistant principal spotted and had no idea what he should do. Now as a guy, we are in a very sensitive situation. If we stop it, we are perverts, and there's a lawsuit. If we let it finish, we are perverts, and there's a lawsuit. So this AP let it play out until a female teacher spotted it from her window. So AP's plans changed, and he runs up to them and screams, hey get off her. And the dude, on top, turns his head and says, I'm almost finished. I worked in a school where they glorified getting in trouble, and the street cred went up, the crazier the crime. So for months, him and everyone else with his name, very common Hispanic name, were getting all kinds of high fives from people they had never heard of. Later, they asked him why he didn't just go into the woods like a couple 100 feet away. He says, I guess I was just lazy. I went to a boarding school and classrooms were the preferred after dark hookup spots. The school hired a night watchman whose job, ostensibly, was to make sure no creepers were wandering around the camps at night. Instead, he took a rather disturbing amount of pleasure busting naked young couples in classrooms. No matter how hot it got, you always had to keep your eyes open for the night watchman's telltale flashlight and caveman-like footfalls. I've unfortunately opened a janitor's closet as a TA to find 2 teenagers going at it with the light off. That was awkward, but I'm pretty based myself, so I asked the young man, safe? He nodded. Alright, I said, and closed the door to go find another janitor's closet to get some cleaning solution. I was pretty sure I could have just gone to the nurse's office and gotten him a condom without the teenage shame, since I was in my late 20s at the time. Good for those 2. While not quite a school masturbation story, it's along the same lines. There was a kid in my high school chemistry class who would always text under the table. One day, the teacher caught him and said, there's only 2 things you can be doing under there, and I hope to God you're texting. About a week later, the kid's at it again, and the teacher yells, put the phone away. The kid looks up shocked and no, I'm just touching myself. Time freezes for a few seconds as no one says anything. The teacher goes back into his lecture as if nothing had happened. This didn't happen to me, but I'm going to tell the story in the first person because it makes for better storytelling. I teach agriculture in a rural school. One day in class, a guy asks to use the restroom 2.1 seconds later. A girl asks to use the restroom 20 minutes later. Neither has come back yet. So I go to the restroom, see 4 feet in one stall, facing opposite directions. So I grab the hose. For some reason, we had a spigot in the restroom with a hose attached and just start spraying water over the stall. Guy and girl immediately start shrieking, cursing, and demanding to know what the hell is going on. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know anyone was in here. There was reports of a funny smell. I was just washing the stalls down. Why don't you get back to class now, okay?